Engineers Board of Kenya, a statutory body, was established under Section 3(1) of the Engineers Act as a successor to the Engineers Registration Board (ERB), established by the Engineers Registration Act Cap 530 of 1969. The EBK has the overall mandate of developing and regulating engineering practice in Kenya.
In carrying its mandate, liaises with all the stakeholders in the government sector, in the public sector, and also in the private sector. And because the board cannot be the one training engineers or producing engineers, it's also liaises with the training institutions, that is the universities and other tertiary institutions, such that they are able to get the good products who are going to become professional engineers.
The development and regulation of engineering practice is considered a key component to the achievement of Infrastructure Foundation, a flagship project under the country's Vision 2030 development blueprint.
Very many infrastructure projects will require very many engineers, competent engineers. First of all, to be able to design, supervise, and eventually to maintain these projects.
Key infrastructural projects being undertaken in the country must have proper regulation and management. That is where the Engineers Board of Kenya comes in handy as a stakeholder, regulator of standards in the engineering profession, building capacity for individual engineers, training institutions, and engineering firms.
As ASEC, we are extremely excited given what is happening in our country and what is happening in the region in as far as infrastructure development is concerned. If you look back a few years ago, there wasn't a lot of construction taking place. Therefore, many engineers were not actively engaged, which was unfortunate. But right now, in the last 10 years or so, and going forward, we see a lot of infrastructure development, which is good news for us because it is giving us opportunities to work in these projects, to acquire new skills in these projects, to create employment, especially of the young engineers coming out of university, and to also expand our firms. And we see this as a very positive step. And as ASEC, we are continuing to build capacity. We are continuing to engage the government in as far as giving inputs to the necessary legislation that will promote more local participation in these projects. Key amongst these legislation is the Procurement Act, and now we have a procurement bill. We have other bills such as the energy bill, the mining bill, we have the petroleum bill, and many bills that are coming in that we are participating and helping to define and promote local content.
The profession is regulated in such a manner that we assure the public and the user of the engineering services that they are getting the services to the standards that they deserve.
One of the key sectors that are seen as a launching pad for Kenya to the middle-income nation is the transport sector. The sector is crucial in the promotion of socio-economic activities and development. A robust and efficient regulatory mechanism is important in enabling Kenyans to enjoy the benefits that come with modernization, such as the one being realized through LAPSET projects.
A lot is being done, like the railway. You have seen how we have opened up. We have recruited very many young engineers who are undergoing training at the moment, learning on the job, OJT, learning on construction of the standard gauge rail. Institutions like the Kenya Airports Authority are also recruiting engineers and other professionals to help with the design. The expansion work at the port has seen very many engineers recruited and participating in the building of the container terminals, which only started about 3-4 years ago, and gaining experience in this field. Roads, I think we have made strides in terms of the amount of work that is being done. All the interchanges, basically new designs, new types of designs. And we are upscaling our skills.
For the country to realize her development agenda, there is need for partnership with stakeholders drawn from different professions and expertise.
I've had interactions with the Ebk in terms of assisting young engineers to get registered, and particularly in Kenya Pipeline. For you to get registered, you have to go through a process which includes training, maybe project environment, drawing office environment. Then when you know that you have acquired enough experience, then you come up with a report which has to be guided by somebody who is registered.
We have played a critical role in developing the skills of these young graduates and training them to the needs of the market, and they have found good employment, and anyone having a power techniques name in the CV generally is regarded as a good trained engineer. So we are very proud of that.
We work together with the Engineers Board in assisting in training engineers. We organize training seminars, and we organize a visit to industries so that engineers can learn best practices which are carried out in industry.
This is in line with the Ministry of State Department of Infrastructure mandate to bring the synergies from across the engineering sector in order to realize the development goals as outlined in the Jubilee Manifesto.
We have over 8,000 engineers who have been registered, who have come out of the universities, and out of this maybe you have 2,000 who are registered. So the key challenge for Ebk is to make sure that they register as many engineers as possible, and also to make sure that they ensure that they regulate the engineering sector.
The Engineers Board of Kenya plays an important role in the registration of engineers and engineering firms, besides regulating their conduct for improved performance of the engineering profession.
For one to be registered as an engineer, you actually need to have gone through an engineering program in a specific discipline. After the graduation now, you are eligible to be registered as a graduate engineer. The practice world over is to recognize programs that have been checked by the professional regulator that actually they meet the minimum requirements for an education and an engineering program. Thereafter, when one becomes a graduate engineer, you get into training. And the training basically is a period where one gets the skills, the necessary skills in terms of hands-on experience, and you learn under a supervisor who is also a professional engineer.
Those who have studied outside and they already have those degrees, I would encourage them to come and put in the applications with the Engineers Board of Kenya. The applications will be looked at, and if the program and courses they did match with the minimum requirements of the Engineers Board of Kenya, they will be registered. It's not a problem.
Guided by the vision for a safe, efficient and effective engineering infrastructure, systems and processes for Kenya, Ebk lives and strives to realize the mission to ensure production of competent engineers and quality engineering services through regulation, capacity building and enforcing compliance with set engineering standards for improved socio-economic development.
It's important for the public to have a place that they can go and find out whether the person they would like to engage for those works is actually registered and licensed. I am aware that the Engineers Board of Kenya has that list in their website, and in as far as consulting engineers of Kenya or consulting engineers in Kenya are concerned, we also have a list of our members, and we are able to advise the general public who are members, what they are capable of doing. And in the event that there is any problem, they can always come back to the association, and we will take the appropriate measures to make sure that the person or the public are getting their due worth in as far as the services they require are concerned. We promote ethical behavior. We promote successful completion of projects. We have our engineers taking out the requisite insurance in the event that their works do not meet the requirements. So we encourage engineers out there who are not yet our members to come in and also benefit from the other programs that we have, such as training and capacity building.
Because at the end of the day, we have to serve our people, our country, and that only comes when we train not only the engineers, but engineers in turn training technicians and electricians down the line. So the end product is what an engineer is supposed to do. So if an engineer guides the technician and the electrician correctly, the end product is always good. If the engineer's knowledge is not correct, that means the end product is not going to be good.
The discovery of oil in Kenya, the digital migration, development of nuclear energy, and a very fast-growing construction and aviation sectors offer new challenges to the country's human resource capacity to maximize on the emerging opportunities.
The prospects are very good in Kenya, because you realize in Africa we are not as advanced in technology as the first world countries, Europe, so it's pretty virgin land. And the thing that makes it more prospective is because right now we are in the middle of discovering a lot of natural resources which require a lot of engineering to be modified from being a natural resource into something that the common man can use.
The demand for engineering programs is very high, and because we need a lot of money to expand the intake, the money has not been forthcoming as the demand is. So we have remained small because the funding is also small. Otherwise, the demand is very high.
This calls for appropriate responses and positioning of institutions and policy re-engineering so as to ensure the country does not only have adequate manpower but properly trained and qualified to meet the demands. With the East African community integration, there is going to be a huge traffic of human resources crossing over the boundaries. Whereas this is good for the trading bloc, member countries will be constrained to lose some of their skilled manpower. Engineers Board of Kenya will be banking on the mutual recognition agreement to deal with the development.
Indeed, Kenya has signed a mutual recognition agreement with the partner states. So far, we've signed with Tanzania and we've also signed with Uganda. We are looking forward to extending this to Rwanda and Burundi. Basically, what a mutual recognition agreement means is a recognition, a reciprocation of recognition. That once a person is registered in Tanzania, once a person is registered in Uganda, they can come to Kenya and we recognize that registration as sufficient for purposes of licensing them to practice. Similarly, a Kenyan engineer will have the opportunity to go and work in those other countries.
The Engineers Board of Kenya has since inception been keen on developing professional manpower through partnerships and professional institutions, both in public and private sector.
I currently chair the Young Engineers chapter for the Institution of Engineers of Kenya. And one of the things that I need to do is to ensure that engineering is out there, and it's being talked about from primary school all the way to high school into university, and for that young graduate who has just graduated.
Accreditation process for the bachelor's degree in engineering involves finding out whether the students are prepared properly to become professional engineers in the future. And when we look at the programs, if we look at the program, we look at the basic sciences which are important for an engineer. We look at the design content of the engineering courses, and also we look at the dimension of engineering practice.
University, through partnerships and internships secured with the help of Engineers Board of Kenya with key market players and more advanced universities from other parts of the world, can be said to be producing market-driven manpower.
My attachment is supposed to be 3 months. I'm supposed to do a project, and I'm planning to do it in structures. And since here I'm mostly doing things on structures, I think this will help me and provide me with a basis for my projects.
Being in an institution like here, we've done our theory, we've done our practicals, we've also gone for attachments. We do 2 attachments, so that really it makes you have a feel of the outside world, creating us and empowering us to be able to do it.
This is notably done with full compliance to the standards set by the Engineers Board of Kenya and other international organizations.
From the universities I have visited, there is a lack of good quality laboratory and teaching equipment to bring them at par with the current needs of the market. So we have to enhance the laboratories and testing facilities where the students can have a hands-on experience before they are coming out on the field. And it's always a situation whereby finances are constrained, but we have to set priorities and bring those universities at par with what is happening all across the world in terms of enhancement of quality of laboratory equipment.
ASEC works very closely with the Engineers Board of Kenya in the following areas. 1, ASEC members were actively involved in giving inputs in the new Engineers Act. The new Engineers Act is a much more friendly act, is a much more practical act, and to me it will give engineers within our country a lot more benefit. Number 2, the Association of Consulting Engineers also works closely with the Engineers Board of Kenya in as far as the professional development is concerned, because ASEC does have training programs, and one of the areas that we are advanced in training is in what we call FIDIC conditions of contract. So conditions of contract that are used in administering projects. We offer these courses as ASEC, and we bring in professional or accredited trainers to train our engineers. So in as far as the requirement of continuous professional development, ASEC offers training courses that are recognized by EBK. Also, ASEC has what we call a code of conduct, which requires our members to behave in a certain manner and to meet certain ethics. So again, in as far as promoting professionalism and ethical behavior, we are assisting this industry by having our members join us and comply with those code of conducts, or with the code of conduct.
Kenya's infrastructure development has seen unprecedented growth in the past decade, from the Thika Superhighway, expansion of JKIA, modernization of the port of Mombasa, and now the very ambitious Dongo Kundu Freeport in Lamu. The country is poised for a takeoff to becoming the real communications hub in Africa south of the Sahara. The new developments will need a well-regulated sector, skilled and professional manpower in order to reap maximum benefits as the country gears to enter the middle-level economy status.
Key issues is to make sure that they carry out the internship program so that we can be able to register as many engineers as possible. We have many lady engineers in the profession, and we encourage more. And in fact, to be very honest, actually, we have the best engineers today in all the universities are ladies, and we are very happy to know that.
And the fact that you're a lady or whatever, the perception doesn't make you less, because we go through the same, like also the men, so we are the same.
Now, on the other hand, also within the board, they have a target to make sure that, of course, apart from not trying to compromise on the quality kind of profession, but to encourage really all the ladies and to be able to apply so that they are registered.
They've done a good job so far, though more can be done, especially in terms of internship. If they can identify the places of internship which they find fit for students to engage themselves in, where students can get the best technical support, then that will be very good.
The other issue is, again, in terms of regulation and enforcing, to make sure that the engineer should be able to conform and unless they are really registered, they should not be able to practice at a given level. So again, we have put in the relevant kind of penalty so that we ensure that the registers, actually the engineers are registered.
EBK has taken a good initiative. First of all, to know what is being taught in the institutions and to know what kind of courses structures are there.
We put in a neighboring registration about 2 years ago, but now we say the Engineers Act, which basically regulates the training from tertiary institutions. We follow up the students, their training when they are employed, and then it's a lifetime cycle.
Despite the challenges, the future of EBK looks bright since the board is firmly grounded on clear vision and mission, which together with the partners are determined to realize.
Training of engineers should be a continuous process, because no matter whether we are building or not, maintenance itself is very, very critical. And then, of course, we cannot sit and rest and say that we have done enough. No. After that, there is a major rehabilitation, discovering new methods of construction, and innovation, and that comes with education. And engineering is very, very key to economic development. Actually, infrastructure, which is all engineering driven, is key to the economic growth of this country and any other country in the world.